Always a fun one to make. We are exactly halfway through the current iPhone 16 lineup. This is what the next gen iPhone 17 is gonna look like. We've had a ton of leaks, ton of rumors. Let's go through them all and then I'll let you know, is it worth upgrading? Is it worth just getting a 16 Pro now, or should you wait till the new launch of the iPhone? So what we see first and foremost is a brand new redesign, which is always fun to check out. You can see the current lineup now. We're starting off at the 16e, which was actually just announced. It has the single camera going on to the standard 16. This has the 2 camera bumps, the main as well as the ultra wide. You can also get that in the 16 Plus, and then moving on to the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max, that has the trifecta, the 3. So for the new design change, I'm gonna put the 16e off to the side because that isn't changing anytime soon to the 17e. The 17 will just be the same design, same form factor. We'll still see the 2 camera bumps. So the first thing that we're gonna see is a slightly larger screen. So from 6.1 inches to 6.3 inches, that's actually the same upgrade that we saw from the 15 Pro to the 16 Pro. So slightly larger display. Dynamic Island will still be there, Pro Motion across the board. There is an upgrade to the front facing camera. So right now that's 12 megapixels. It'll be upgraded to 24 megapixels, and you'll see that across the board on all iPhone models. On the back, like I said, you'll still see the 2 camera bumps. It might be slightly larger in the actual spacing between them. Colorways, we haven't seen anything confirmed yet, but if we look at the, I guess, progression from, say, the 14, 15 to the 16, they've been getting more saturated, so maybe we'll see something a bit darker this year. And the big change, I guess, coming to the 17, there will no longer be a 17 Plus. So right now, you've got the 16, and the 16 Plus, the Plus model isn't actually selling that well. It only accounts for around 5 to 10% of overall sales. And just like a lot of things, if you aren't performing, you get kind of axed. RIP Liam Lawson. Any of you F1 fans out there. So the new iPhone Air will essentially be replacing the Plus model, and there will no longer be that 17 Plus. And the new Air, just like the name implies, it's a lot thinner. It will almost be Apple's thinnest device, so 5.5 millimeters. It'll be the new thinnest iPhone, but the thinnest device Apple offers is still the iPad Pro, but still a very, very thin device. And obviously on the back, you can see from a lot of these renders, it has a completely new design, almost Pixel-esque. So it'll be some sort of visor design. The back will only actually have 1 camera. That's obviously going to be the wide camera, and we've got 2 kind of designs floating around. One will be fully colored with the body, or that visor will actually be black and the rest will just be glass, obviously for wireless charging. The thing that I'm most stoked about, some of these rumors are looking at a orange iPhone Air. If we get that, that's going right on the orange wall down there. That will be the first iPhone that Apple has actually made that is in orange. I can't be more stoked because it's a brand new product and obviously in my favorite color. So that will be really exciting. On the front, we're gonna get a 6.6 inch display, so slightly smaller than what the current Plus is, which is 6.69. It will be Pro Motion though, so 120 Hertz, Super Retina XDR. So it's kind of like the middle ground between, say, the standard 17 and the 17 Pro. I still find it interesting though that it only would have the 1 camera, because right now it's very clear on the progression for iPhones. Like I said, the 16e has the 1, the 16 has 2, 16 Pro, Pro Max has the 3. So it'll be interesting for a consumer. If you go into a store, you'll see maybe an iPhone with 1 camera. You might think it's worth less, you might think it's inferior, but it's technically now going to be the middle ground. Around the rest of the Air, we'll have the camera control button, which is pretty much standard now across the entire lineup. On the other side, we will no longer have a SIM card slot tray, which I am based in Canada. So globally, I know in the US, those are all eSIM. We will no longer have that slot. So RIP to the SIM card, same volume rocker, same action button, obviously USB-C. And with a thinner device, you start to wonder about battery life. So Apple will be introducing a new high density battery, which should still have the same battery life as the current lineup, if not a bit longer. We have seen that tech coming across to a lot of Android devices. It's always usually the case that Apple follows along in the bandwagon and usually gets tech a bit later, but nice to see. I'm not too sure if that will actually come to the standard 17 models, but definitely for the 17 Air as well as the 17 Pros to ensure that they have the most battery. Obviously, they'll be rocking the new A19 chip, 8 gigs of RAM in the Air to support Apple Intelligence. The C1 M1 chip, which was the custom modem chip, launched in the 16E, as well as a new custom Wi-Fi chip to help improve efficiency. So obviously Apple is starting to build a lot of their chips in-house. Obviously that will be continuing with the new Air, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think of the overall design. Do you think having a super thin device is what people want, or would you rather have a, I guess, standard size iPhone, like the ones that we're used to, with that new high density battery, which would improve battery even longer? Or would you rather have a thinner device? And obviously last but not least is the pricing for the new 17 Air. So once again, two numbers floating around, either 900 to 1,000. This can go in two different ways. So right now the Pros start at $999. I would love to see the Air start at $900, but we also could see that the Pros bump up to $1,100, and then the Air would start at $999. I would hate it, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised, Apple being Apple. But on the flip side, they did reduce the price of the M4 MacBook Air, so they might surprise us and say, hey, here's $100 off. Fingers crossed for $900. So that is the 17 Air. It just comes in the one size. Moving on now to the big boys. So on to either the 17 Pro or the Pro Max. Once again, this is getting a big design change. Once again, still having that pixel-esque visor on the back, and this is where they're starting to look a little bit funky. So you've seen a couple different models floating around. The first thing is they're getting rid of titanium, switching back to aluminum, and we're either gonna see a two-tone design. It'll be interesting to see where that cutout for the visor is. Once again, the visor could be all black in aluminum with the, I guess, like the two-tone, the second color of glass on the back, or we could see the visor in a different color in aluminum, and obviously the bottom part being in the second option. So I'm really not too sure how I feel about this. Essentially, the camera bump is now just being extended. It doesn't look the greatest in my opinion. Maybe it's like a design that will grow to love. The Pixel, I think, looks good with the black visor, but if it's that two-tone aluminum, I'm not too sure. I thought when some of the renders came out initially, I thought it was a bit more of a joke, but as so many more have come out, obviously case designers are getting hands-on prototypes already as they're starting to ramp up manufacturing for the new accessories. It will truly be interesting to see where that line kind of falls. And I think the big telltale of this being fully true is the fact that they switched from the titanium to the aluminum, because that visor obviously has to match that same unibody. So that would have to be aluminum, whether it will be black aluminum or it'll be gloss. That's, I guess, the last thing that we have to see. So for the rest of the phone, internally, it'll have the new A19 Pro chip. So we'll still have the 3 camera sensors. The LiDAR and the flash will still be the same, just technically moved on over within the visor. It'll still be a 48 megapixel main, 48 megapixel ultra wide, and now upgraded will be the 48 megapixel telephoto. So that should actually really help with being able to crop in because of the larger sensor. So we might see a 5x optical with the ability to like zoom in maybe like 10, 15x perhaps. I also saw an update of the Pros now being able to record in 8K. Obviously, this being the flagship, that would make a lot of sense as their standout Pro video feature. So the reason why the Pros won't be shrinking in size is obviously for that battery life. If they introduce that new higher density one, you still want to have the thickness to increase obviously battery life. These will probably be marketed as having the best battery life on any iPhone because it has the size and the improvement to the battery. And one of the last things that I saw for the design of the Pro models, it'll be 5% thicker to help accommodate that larger battery. It'll also have a vapor chamber for cooling. This will have 12 gigs of RAM to help support Apple Intelligence a bit better. I know that the launch of it didn't go the greatest. A lot of stuff has been delayed, and with that extra RAM should really help with a lot of those features. So it'll be interesting to see. I know that Apple recently reshuffled its leadership and they had the lead of Vision Pro move on over to Siri, as obviously Siri tied to Apple Intelligence hasn't been the greatest. So it could make sense that this has 12 gigs of RAM to help with some of those new features. So for the front, we'll still get the same screen sizes, 6.3 and 6.9 for the Pro Max. They'll still have Pro Motion, so 120 Hertz Super Retina XDR. They will have a new anti-reflective coating that actually is better at scratches, so theoretically stronger than the current gen of Ceramic Shield. Once again, only coming to the Pro models. And Dynamic Island will also be slightly smaller. I just saw this on the Pro Max. It might also happen to the Pro, but for sure we should see that on the Pro Max version. And last lastly, the Pro models will have reverse wireless charging, which should be nice. You can charge your other devices. It'll still have obviously the C1 chip and the new custom Wi-Fi chip, which once again coming across to all models, and that upgraded 48 megapixel camera to the front, which once again across all of them. And last but not least, pricing for the Pro models. So currently, like I said, and for the intro of the 17 Air, the base model of the smaller version that starts at $999, $1,199 for the Pro Max. Will we see that $100 price bump? My guess is yes. I think we're gonna see $1099 as the price for the smaller 17 Pro, and for the 17 Pro Max, $1299 sadly. The Air will start at $999, that's my guess. But once again, hoping that Apple throws a curveball at us for pricing, gives us $100 off again. That would be super nice. But that is the new iPhone 17, 17 Air, 17 Pro, and 17 Pro Max. Curious what you guys think of the design changes, especially the brand new device, the 17 Air. That is super exciting. We're getting a brand new phone. The 17 Pros, I'm not too sure about what that visor is gonna look like, but back to my original question, is it worth upgrading? Should you wait? What should you do right now? Because we're midway through. My philosophy is if you're gonna get a new big design refresh, like we are getting, it is better to wait. You'll be kicking yourself in the foot because that new design will kind of stay with us for the next 3 to 4 years, just like the current cycle or the current design has been with us for the past 3 years. So in my opinion, wait. You'll actually have a different model to choose from, which is the 17 Air. That's currently my recommended thing. Halfway through its refresh, I currently use the 16 Pro Max as my daily. It's a great device. My battery life for battery health is still 100%. I'm averaging 7 hours of screen on time every day. My most used app is, not surprisingly, Instagram. But if you do want to add me, this is my own shameless plug. I've been shamelessly burning a lot of time on the Pokemon TCG app. If you want to add me as a friend, I'm gonna leave my friend ID here because I am currently on the hunt of completing all the special art rares for the OG 150. I've got a couple more to collect, so if you want to trade with me, once again, that is my shameless plug for this video. So hope you guys enjoyed what the next gen iPhone is gonna look like. Let me know if you're excited for it. If you're like, what the hell is Apple thinking with its new design? Is the 17 Air gonna be a flop just like the current 16 Plus is? Let me know down below and I'll catch the rest of you in one of my next ones. Peace.